Rocky, let's start with that first half. What'd you see? What'd you like? What were the positives?
Well, I'm glad you guys start with the positives. I mean, that's a good deal.
We're glass half full guys, Rocky.
Well, that's good because right now I'm trying to figure out what I am. But first half, we did a lot of really good things. I thought we moved the ball pretty well on the ground and actually scored a touchdown. They started out pretty good. They ran the ball a little bit in the very first series of downs, but we slowed them down and made them kick a field goal, and they missed that. But after that, they couldn't get anything going until the very last few seconds of the first half. I mean, they couldn't run the ball. We were playing pretty good pass coverage. And then we intercept the pass and fumble it back to them, and they throw the first long pass over our heads, and we go into the half. We outplayed them the first half, and we go into the half behind. So I think that since we're a fairly young team, there was a little bit of an emotional letdown.
Rocky, how much do you pay attention to just the first few minutes to see exactly what your team looks like, especially in game one of the year? And were you happy with how your team prepared, what you looked like right out of the jump?
I was really happy. In fact, positively, the whole game we were the most physical team out there. I mean, and that's a good thing, but we weren't the smartest team out there. I mean, we made assignment errors that got us in trouble. We had way too many penalties, and those got us in trouble at times. Some of our veteran players didn't play quite as well as we expected, and then obviously you expect some of your younger players to struggle a little bit, but I thought we went in the game with the right frame of mind. We played really, really hard. We played really, really physical, but we made way too many mistakes.
Coach, big turning of the tide after they punted you down to your one, and it looked like a bit of a communication breakdown between the center and the left side of the offensive line. Center was sliding to the right. Left guard kind of left that nose guard to get in Christian Chapman's face. What was the coaching point to Christian Chapman as he was being flushed from the pocket in your own end zone?
Well, what you ought to do is throw it over somebody's head out of bounds, and then obviously you get to punt the ball and you don't give them 2 points and have to kick off from your 20. So that was a mistake on his part. I mean, when he got flushed from the pocket, if he can't find someone to dump it off to right away, you ought to throw it over somebody's head, up into the stand somewhere. And obviously he didn't do that, and that was part of the momentum shift because right after that we had the other thing happen.
Rocky, you may disagree with me on this, so please let me know, but the quarterback, to me, looks like he has to be the fastest decision maker on the field. Can not playing any sort of other competition the way college football is built, can be set up to have the most difficult game one with the quick decision making that a quarterback has to have, especially when he's under duress?
Well, you wouldn't expect that out of a veteran quarterback. I mean, I expected Christian to play better than he did. Now, you have to put some of that on the offensive line. We saw that in our last scrimmage. The offensive line struggled protecting the quarterback on pass rush. When you blitz some people in the scrimmage, they struggled too. So our offensive line blocked pretty well most of the night for the run, but our pass protection has to improve dramatically.
Coach, I'm sure there's a lot of coaching points that came out on the defensive side of the ball too. J.J. Arcega-Whiteside went off a little bit, and some of them you just got to give him a round of applause for making big plays on 50-50 balls. But it looked like on that second one there was a bit of a communication breakdown. What was told or what happened on that particular play?
Well, the funny thing that happens with that is everybody thinks that all you're doing is putting 11 guys or 10 guys near the line of scrimmage and you're manning up those guys one-on-one out there. Well, that's a fallacy. I mean, there are times when we played zone, we got beat deep too, because if you're playing a 3-deep zone or a 2-deep zone at times, when the quarterback gets a lot of time to hold on to the ball, those guys get deep and it ends up being a one-on-one jump ball situation anyway. We knew he's a great player. We knew that he was going to catch a ball or two on us. We didn't know he'd go off on like he did. I mean, there was, you anticipate in any kind of jump ball with a decent DB that the DB's going to win at least 50% of them, and it's a lot harder to throw and catch a football than it is to hand it to a tailback. So in two of those cases, we were actually in a zone coverage. It's just the quarterback got to hold the ball too long, and we didn't get the kind of pass rush we needed.
Rocky Long with us on Extra 1360 Fox Sports San Diego. Just a reminder, Rocky with us every single Monday at 7:30. Also, the Rocky Long Show, a full hour, Wednesday, 6 p.m., as the Aztecs get set for Sacramento State Saturday night, SDCCU Stadium. KGB Sky Show, we'll have that game for you right here. Also, get out there, enjoy some great football. Rocky, I will say, when the ball was thrown, I thought Fred Trevelyan had a nice game. I thought Tim Wilson looked excellent, especially with yards after catch. What did you think of your two main wide receivers in that game, and could you see them perhaps get more opportunities than you'd expect with how well they played moving forward?
Well, I think that we had a chance to come back in the game because I thought when Christian was given time that he threw the ball very well. And we've got three receivers that have shown some talent in the past. Fred's a veteran guy, and he's probably the fastest guy on our team, and he caught the ball pretty well and ran with it. Tim Wilson was a big surprise, positive surprise to me that he caught the ball and what he did after he caught it. I mean, I didn't know he was that physical. He ran over, bumped a couple guys to the ground, ran over some guys. I mean, I was really impressed with him. I think the only issue we had was we didn't protect the quarterback good enough to let Christian throw the ball, because then those guys could have made some plays and we could have got back in the game. It always comes down to the line of scrimmage. I mean, if you don't rush the passer good enough, the DBs are in trouble. If you don't block for the passer very well, guess what? Your quarterback's in trouble. So, and I know Nick knows this, that if you can't at least have a 50-50 showing at the line of scrimmage, you're not going to do anything very well.
Coach, you talk about rushing the passer and protecting the passer. What's this week of practice going to look like for your big boys?
Well, I mean, once we get into the season, there's not much you can change. I mean, you don't want to hurt anybody in practice, but I mean, we go in pads. This time of year, we go in pads the first 3 days of the week, and then we take the pads off. But once we get to midseason, we'll only be in pads twice a week. So, no, there'll be a lot more. In fact, I just did the practice schedule. There's going to be a lot more one-on-one pass rush versus offensive linemen trying to, protect the quarterback. It's a lot of one-on-one stuff. We're going to do a lot of one-on-one situations with the wide receivers and our DBs so that we can make a play every once in a while on a jump ball. I mean, there's a lot of things that we can do fundamentally and get much, much better.
Rocky, you thought your physicality perhaps was better than Stanford's?
I thought it was for sure. I mean, we on the running game, we kind of established the line of scrimmage pretty good. I mean, let's get a 50-50 deal, but in the running game, when they tried to run the ball, they got absolutely nothing. I mean, and everybody thinks that we put a whole bunch of guys up near the line of scrimmage. That's not necessarily true. We were playing some zone coverages. Now, our DBs did a nice job when they saw the run, coming to the line of scrimmage and fitting in the right gaps and made a lot of tackles. So our DB did a nice job in run support, obviously, but we didn't have 11 guys stacked up there. I mean, that's a misconception. So I thought our defensive line and linebackers really set the tone at the line of scrimmage.
Linebackers were downhill in a hurry, very decisive. I thought the box played incredibly well on the defensive side of the ball, especially early. Coach, coming into the game all through the offseason, you were talking about this Stanford game being an opportunity game. It's hard to look back in hindsight, though, and treat it as such. When you really realized early on you were just as competitive, if not more physical than them.
Yeah, that's really disappointing. I mean, going in the game, obviously, we thought our question mark on defense was the secondary, and it turned out to be right. I mean, we got a couple young guys back there that didn't play very well. But at the line of scrimmage, we had real concerns over how they were going to be able to run the ball. And I thought that, we held our own at the line of scrimmage, and I thought we were as good as they were. We made way too many mistakes, and they had one player that we didn't have any success covering. So when you make too many mistakes and you have too many penalties, it puts you kind of on your heels a little bit. And then when they have one guy that goes up and takes the ball away from you every single time, you're going to lose the game.
Coach, you talked about those young DBs not performing, and they were a question mark coming into the game. How conscious are you now of trying to rebuild confidence in them? How difficult is that?
Well, that's difficult, and we're playing a team that's going to throw it around the park. I mean, they're not Stanford. Obviously, they don't have the same kind of players, but they have a couple of really good wide receivers, and the quarterback throws the ball really well. So they're going to have to get their confidence back and play better than they did in the first game, or we're going to struggle some too. But I was a DB at one time, and you're going to get beat, and you better just brush it off and go on about your business, or you won't play anymore.
Rocky, how quickly do you get a good idea of how your team handles a loss? I mean, if it's lingering over them, or if they're able to brush it off, move ahead and look forward to the next week?
Well, you really don't know until you play, but you can kind of get a feel at practice on how intense they are in practice, how much they're trying to get better at what they do, or they're feeling sorry for themselves.
Yeah.
And young teams sometimes feel sorry for themselves. Veteran teams know how to overcome it. It'll be interesting to see how we react.